Good morning. Welcome to Market Monday for October 7th, 2024. Well, how about one more PSA for the pace of rate hikes? For context, as market participants dissected Jerome Powell's comments after the September Fed meeting, one in particular stuck out. This is not a committee that wants to cut rates quickly. We've covered this quite a bit over the past few weeks, and here's what we had to say. Take a look at the 1-year, 2-year, 3, 4, and 5-year S&P 500 stock market returns. Notice anything? The two cutting cycles starting with the two cuts had a stock market that was still down 4 years later. So yes, it appears a slower cutting cycle has historically been better for markets than a fast cutting cycle. And it appears the Fed knows that. And here's one last look at that for good measure. With fast cycles in orange and slow cycles in mid-blue up here. All right, with all this talk about the Fed, it is sort of the 800-pound gorilla here, but it's not the only game in town. It's often helpful to also look at what other central banks are doing around the world. We've got Japan here, still super low rates at 0.25% with inflation at 3%. We've got Switzerland cutting for the third time this year. Their rate now at just 1%, with inflation just over 1%. Sweden also cut rates for the third time this year, now down to 3.25%. Czech Republic cut for the 7th time in a row, down to 4.25%. Here's Canada at 4.25%. A reminder that we're at 4.88% here in the US. India at 6.5%, Brazil at 10.75%. And so far, the S&P 500 stock market seems to be taking it all in stride. Where, remember, we've also been talking about the September and October swoon during election years? Yep, that one. The one that never came yet. But we'll see. But so far, here's this year way up here. And so, yes, it would be natural to have a bit of caution coming into October with an elevated market. This too, the S&P 500 stock market up 21% this year, with just an 8% max drawdown for the year. Not too shabby, no? We really like zooming out like this for context. We look at this one often, but how about this one? Since 1957, the S&P 500 stock market for the first half of the decade in blue, second half of the decade in black. That's about a 25% return for the first half, 220% return for the second half. Of course, there are about 6 instances of this, so not a huge sample size, but still very interesting nonetheless, especially as we're about to enter the second half of the decade. And today, we'll leave you with this. Visa. Yes, that Visa is launching a new product called Visa Tokenized Asset Platform, designed to help financial institutions issue and manage currency-backed tokens on blockchains. The initial live pilot is using the Ethereum blockchain, which, if you recall a month or two ago, we shared that investors can now get exposure to this asset class through several easily accessible funds inside the accounts that they already own. Paying attention yet? Have a great week.